Morning, good morning. How's it going, guys and gals? Nice to have you this morning. April 23rd, 2025. I sometimes think 24. Still stuck in my head at 24. How you guys doing today? You guys see the US dollar Swiss trade that I gave to you yesterday? Worked out to perfection, huh? Take a look at that trade. Beautiful. Remember that one? It was given to you yesterday in yesterday's live session. Hit our target quite nicely. In fact, even surpassed our target just by a bit and penetrated through the area of supply. Yeah, very cool. So we're going to take a look at the markets today. We're going to take a look at look around and see if there's any other trade ideas for you guys to take advantage of. So we'll do that today and see what's going on there. I think there's a very good chance that we see this one continue higher, the US Swiss. Very good chance. So let's dig a little bit deeper and see what we see here. So we had that nice move up. We put the stop loss below this area, and this was because of looking at the 4-hour chart and the RSI momentum to the upside. Remember, RSI is a good indication of strength in buying. And since we track the institutional trading, we want to pay attention to whether there's strong buying or not. Okay. So this is what we were looking at right here. This RSI here coming at about 40, which was giving us the indication that it was likely price was going to rally and make a new high past the previous high. And what do I mean by that? Well, if we take a look at the chart, we can see that price rallied up here, okay, and here was the high. But previous to that, here is where the strength of the buying was not very strong, so it needed a pullback. And usually pullbacks are pullbacks into demand zones, okay? So there's a pullback here, and then when it started to rally, it showed us that the buying was aggressive, okay? It was strong enough to surpass this high. And so that's what took place. Now we are responding from this area of supply, and it looks very interesting here. I look at that wick and I'm thinking to myself, is this supply zone actually removed or not? And that's the big question here. Because what we could end up getting is this zone holding and a push to the downside from here, okay? So I'm going to be watching that. One of the things that we could do is bring it down to the 15-minute chart and just take a look at the structure and see if it looks like it's about to shift momentum. Obviously, the first thing that I think about when I look at this chart is I see this major imbalance here. So if this was to go to the downside, then you would need to get this removed first. That would be a must. And if it was to pick up momentum, if it produced a nice looking area of supply, then we'd be looking at something like that to the downside. Okay, so we could get a short-term move to the downside here. I wouldn't be surprised by that. Okay, again, let me just show you the area. Here is the area I would want to see removed. And if it did get removed, then I would be looking for some kind of a supply area, and I'd be targeting down this area here. Okay, so that's kind of what I'd be looking for. A break, supply created, rally up to supply, and target reached, right? Because it does look like this area of supply is holding. And it does look like we may see a move to the downside. So let's look at the other dollar pairs and see if we are seeing the same thing. Okay, USCAD. I mentioned this trade idea as well, and so far it's holding. It hasn't surpassed the lows here. But take a look at this strange action. We got this supply zone, and it just doesn't want to break. Okay, look at that. Yeah, we had some wicking take place throughout the zone, but for me, this zone is still holding. And now we're back at the highs again. Now, some traders would like to trade a chart like this because they would say, oh, it's ranging, you know. Every time it comes up, it comes back down. So go long at the lows, go short at the highs. I'm not a fan of that because it works until it doesn't. And I like something a little bit more predictable than that. So we're thinking about downside on the dollar. I wouldn't trade this one to the downside just from the way that it looks. Okay. So let's go over to the US dollar Japanese yen. Looks like this one's already making its move to the downside. But it's not making a move to the downside off of any type of supply from what I'm seeing. Looks like it's just reversing back down. So remember, we have weekly area of demand being contacted on the US dollar Japanese yen. We've seen several contacts of this demand zone. All right, and this is why we're getting the bullish pressure. And if this is going to continue to the upside, the first thing we need to be looking at is the daily chart. Okay, momentum would have to shift on the daily chart. And so when we look at the RSI, we could see how low it was when price came down into this zone. Okay, it's well below 40. It's in the 30s. That's super weak. We don't want that. We want it to be retracing and the RSI to be at least 40 or higher. And then that tells us that there's buying taking place here. Okay, so if it rallies, comes back down, and we see RSI above 40, then we have a better opportunity for a long trade. Okay, remember, this weekly area of demand that's been tested has been already tested a couple times. So it becomes of lesser and lesser value each time we contact that. So yes, it looks like short-term momentum to the downside. And it looks like we have a big area here. Okay, similar to what we were seeing in the Swiss. So it's possible. Where would I trade this to? Probably here. Okay. If there was a good looking setup, if price drops down and produces supply, retraces, there could be something good like that. Because if this area is to be removed, then it's likely because it wants to drop. And if it's going to drop, it's going to drop until some other type of area is contacted. And it looks like there's some demand here. So it'll probably drop there before some kind of a reaction. So this could work out, US dollar Japanese yen. And this retracement would be happening within the context of this daily being so weak, this RSI being so weak, the rally can't get much higher than imbalances here. And so it needs to drop to gain more speed before rallying up again. So, you know, it's a little bit dangerous, not ideally the type of trade I would like to be looking for, but it could work short term, okay, within this greater context. But, you know, we don't know how much price is going to drop on the daily chart to regain the next level of strength before another rally. So this is what would make it a little bit more dangerous. All right. Gold was looking at gold. We're seeing a retracement now. We're coming down to this area of demand. We switch it down to the 15-minute chart. To go long here, um, you'd want a good-looking trade setup here. And if I am to look here really quickly and do some analysis, I would say what would be a good area? Looks like there's something being caught right now in terms of demand right here. One test was not able to go past the previous high. Coming again. It looks weak. This could drop. I'd also be looking at this area here. These are the two areas I'd be watching for. If this zone holds and we get momentum to the upside and this breaks, we could get, if we get a really nice imbalance here, we could get some short-term demand to push this higher. But we'll wait and see. Okay. The question is, will this area of demand hold? Is there any reason for it to hold? Well, you know, it came down into demand. RSI is above 40. So that's telling me that this chart still has strength. Okay, the buying that's been taking place on the 4-hour chart is somewhat strong. And yeah, all the charts are strong. Okay, this has been rallying up for some time. You look at the RSI on the monthly, weekly, daily, they're all high, above 60. Very, very high. Okay. So, short-term move to the upside, potentially. I'd wait to see if that 15-minute area of supply gets taken out and see what kind of a momentum kicks in there. Silver's been just chilling out. I've been mentioning this to you guys. Silver's like, yeah, I'm not moving. I'm comfortable where I am. Let's just wait for gold to make its move lower and reestablish some sort of normalcy, and then we'll take it from there. All right. Besides that, I was looking at the stock markets. Stock markets are moving upwards. A lot of positions in the portfolio are gapping up this morning, so that's good. The portfolio will be rebounding and coming back to normal levels after our temporary dip that we've experienced. Market, you know, is underwater. We're still above water, doing pretty well considering how others are doing with their portfolios and how the market dropped so aggressively. So yeah, if you want to learn more about how we pick our trades, how we establish our portfolio, what positions we have in our portfolio, and how we look for our positions, how we join the institutional trading, and put that edge on our side, you can always get more information, whiteoakfx.com. All right, folks, that was pretty good, right? We covered some potential trade ideas, things to keep your eye on. Had a very good trade. US Swiss worked out perfectly, the one I gave yesterday. I hope you guys took advantage of that. And that's about it. I guess I will let you guys go. Enjoy your day. If you want more analysis from me and more insights, you can follow us on our social media pages. And if you don't know where they are, just go to whiteoakfx.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page. You'll get all of our social media channels. All right, folks, that's it. Enjoy. Take care.